Tarnished, you've made it to the Shadow Realm and you're ready to follow in Miquella's footsteps. But before you do that, you'll want to arm yourself with some new gear. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're sharing where to find some of the best new weapon types early so you can make the most of your Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree playthrough. By now, you most likely know that there are a handful of new weapon types within the game, and our goal with this video is to show you where to find each of those weapons as early into your experience as possible. Believe it or not, most of them are relatively close to the starting area, but to really track them down with these, I recommend you get the Gravesite Plain map located just northeast of the Gravesite Plain Site of Grace. Let's start with an easy to locate new weapon type. The Beast Claw can be found by heading southeast from the Gravesite Plain Site of Grace. You'll head into this small forested area, and somewhere hidden amongst the trees is Loger, the Beast Claw. He's a feral combatant that uses the new Beast Claw weapon to attack you relentlessly, stringing together combination attacks that will require you to constantly dodge or block his incoming strikes. Once you defeat him, you'll be rewarded with Beast Claw. Beast Claw requires 13 strength and 11 dexterity to equip. They have a baseline attack power of 98 physical and 100 critical. They also have a D strength scaling and D dexterity scaling. They also cause blood loss buildup, perfect for you bleed builders out there. The Beast Claw also comes with a built-in Ash of War called Savage Claws. When used, the player lunges forward, slashing in front of them multiple times with ferocity. True to its name, what I enjoy most about this weapon is just how beastly you actually feel while using them, either in one hand or dual wielding. Strike fast, deal a decent amount of damage, and assault your enemies with a flurry of blows. It's a lot of fun. These are incredibly fast, so if you've been looking for an option like that, look no further than the Beast Claw. Another easy new weapon to pick up is the Backhand Blade. You could actually run straight here from the first Site of Grace, but I understand that the allure of exploration might be too much to pass by. That being said, the Backhand Blade is found far northeast of the Plainsite Grave Site of Grace, or southeast of the Three Path Cross Site of Grace. What you're looking for is this mausoleum on the map. Be careful, there are patrols closely guarding this spot, so you might have to take them out first, but if you manage to do that, you can pick up the weapon on the south side. Backhand Blade requires 10 strength and 13 dexterity to equip. They have a baseline attack power of 105 physical and 100 critical. They also have a D strength scaling and D dexterity scaling. The Backhand Blade also comes with a built-in Ash of War blind spot. After taking a quick sidestep, the player will thrust the sword back towards an enemy, dealing damage. What I really like about the Backhand Blade is how different they feel to use. Unlike a standard sword where you're often chopping or slashing down and then back up, these are much more horizontal, and you see that momentum carry through with each attack. There's a fluidity to using these weapons that I really like, and regardless of if you're wielding them in one hand or dual wielding, there's a natural grace that comes with the weapon type. Some might consider it a bit too floaty, with far too much inherent movement, but I think a majority of players will enjoy trying something out that feels unique and different. The next weapon we're after is the Great Katana, and once again, if you're willing to make a little trek, you can get this with relative ease. This time we need to head north. You'll want to unlock the Great Bridge North Site of Grace and then head west towards this small lake. Right in the center is a Ghost Flame Dragon guarding our prize. If you move quickly, you can pick up the weapon and run away, or you can choose to fight. It's really up to you. The Great Katana requires 14th strength and 18 dexterity to equip. It has a baseline attack power of 145 physical and 100 critical. It also has D strength scaling and D dexterity scaling. The weapon also causes blood loss buildup. Additionally, the Great Katana comes with a built-in Ash of War called Overhead Stance. While holding the left trigger, you raise the katana over your head. Using either a light attack or a heavy attack augments the upcoming attack and provides you with a different option for attacking enemies. These overhead attacks are faster and a bit stronger, but like all Ash of Wars, do cost some FP to use. This is a really interesting weapon, one that might speak to some of the heavy weapon fans out there. The light attacks have a rather narrow cone of attack, either chopping or slashing directly in front of the player. On the other hand, the heavy attacks are slow and sweeping, giving you a lot of reach if multiple enemies are close in. With the addition of the Ash of War, you do have a lot of options, which is nice in a variety of situations. What it's really going to come down to is if you like the speed of the weapon, which isn't terrible, but certainly on the slower end of the spectrum. Easily the most unique weapon on the list, the Firespark Perfume bottle can be found northeast from the Three Path Cross Site of Grace, across Elak Great Bridge, and in a small chest within the first enemy encampment on the right. The Firespark Perfume bottle requires 3 strength and 14 dexterity to equip. It has a baseline attack power of 110 fire and 100 critical. It also has C dexterity scaling. The weapon itself is very unique in that whenever you use a light or heavy attack, you throw out perfumed powder that produces sparks of fire. The light attack can be chained together 4 times in total, with each attack producing a slightly different pattern with the sparks. The heavy attack chains together 2 times, but each attack covers nearly 180 degrees in front of the player, which could easily hit multiple enemies. If you charge up a heavy attack, you'll spin, sending out powder in all directions for a complete melee AoE. I do want to point out that the weapon can be used in your main hand or in your offhand, opening the door for some interesting weapon combinations. However, I do want to warn you that the range of the attacks isn't as great as you might think. These are very much melee weapons, but with just a touch more reach. All in all, very unique. Next on our list is the Smithscript Dagger. This is the first one that requires some actual effort, but it's still accessible very early on in the game. To locate this weapon, players will need to travel to the Runeforge lava intake. You might remember this dungeon from the preview event footage that was circulating ahead of launch. To get to this dungeon, you'll need to cross Elak Great Bridge again. Once you reach the other side, turn sharply southeast and hug the river line. Keep moving south until you reach this opening and make your way inside. You'll want to fight your way through the entire dungeon, killing the massive stone blacksmiths that make up a large chunk of the enemies. Eventually, you'll make it to the bottom of the dungeon, with the lava exposed on the right side. Clear out the last enemy, and on the back wall is a body with the weapon ready to pick up. The Smithscript Dagger requires 5 strength, 11 dexterity, 11 intelligence, and 11 faith to equip. It has a baseline attack power of 67 physical and 100 critical. It also has E strength scaling, C dexterity scaling, E intelligence scaling, and E faith scaling. The Smithscript Dagger doesn't have a built-in Ash of War, but with none equipped, you can tap into its inherent skill, Piercing Throw. When used, the knife can be thrown further and pierces through enemies, so if you think that would be useful, you can fully tap into its effect. You can choose to use these as a single-handed weapon, either in your main hand or offhand, but you can also dual-wield them, throwing 2 daggers at once. Both the light and heavy attack patterns are pretty basic, but let's be honest, the goal is to throw the dagger at the enemy. It doesn't get more straightforward than that. The range is decent, I would say a solid mid-range item, and with some clever weapon pairings, I could see a lot of players weaving these into their builds. The final weapon on our list is the light greatsword called Milady. I am absolutely enamored by this weapon type and find it to be an incredible blend of strength and agility, making for an awesome versatile weapon. To find Milady, you need to head across Elak Great Bridge. Be sure to get the Castle Front Point of Grace because we're pushing across the second bridge into Castle Ensis. You'll need to defeat one of those magical golem enemies first, but once you do that, head up the stairs and turn left. Take another left up the hill and then turn left once more. You'll see a mesmer soldier and a dog walking down a flight of stairs. Take them out and head up the castle walls, climb the ladder in the corner, and at the top of the tower is our reward. Milady requires 12 strength and 17 dexterity to equip. It has a baseline attack power of 116 physical and 100 critical. It also has D strength scaling and D dexterity scaling. As I said, I absolutely love this weapon and think it's one of the most accessible weapon types in the game. The fluidity of the animations mixed with the solid power of the weapon makes it incredibly easy to wield. Both light and heavy attacks string together multiple sequences in a flurry of steel that almost becomes dance-like once you know the cadence. You can also choose to tap into the weapon skill Impaling Thrust, which allows you to stab out in front of you, closing the gap with enemies that are slightly out of range. The weapon also feels great as a one-hander or two-hander. It really just comes down to your speed and attack animation preference, but I played around with both and found them to be equally enjoyable and effective. So there you have it, 6 new weapons for you to pick up early in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Of course, there is more to find, but these are 6 new weapons that also happen to give you access to new weapon types, and they're relatively easy to track down. We'll have more videos coming in the days ahead that guide you towards even more things like new armor sets and the sought-after hand-to-hand arts and much more, so be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you want more Elden Ring in your feeds. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.